name is Miss Lizzie. I don't ever smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some ditzies. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys. Miss Liz back in the house again. We were here this afternoon with Beth Mims and we talked about her book called Wrapped in Grace. Tonight we have Jane in the house, and we're going to talk about the perfect secrets. That's right, we're going to do some romance tonight. And we're also going to be talking about transformation, effervescence. I'm not saying it right, and effervescence. Maria's going to tell me how to say the words. Miss Liz's tongue is just playing games with her tonight. But before we get started, get over to all those platforms, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all those good platforms. Give those a like, follow, and subscribe. And then jump over to the podcast apps. Podbean, iHeartRadio, Listen Notes, Spotify, Apple Radio, Deezer, all those good platforms, and give those a like, follow, and subscribe. And then jump over to babyboomers.org and give those a like, follow, and subscribe. And if you're looking to be on different podcasts and Miss Liz is not giving you what you're looking for, then you can also see that on babyboomers.org and pitch yourself onto different podcasts as well, 50 podcasts plus over on babyboomers.org. So give that a follow and subscribe as well. So let's get started with disclaimer and all that good stuff. And I hope you guys can all hear me. Trisha, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, that's good because I don't have any lights going on over here again. So I just want to make sure everything is going good. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I'm Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the giving time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of the discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where every conversation reminds us that love isn't just something we find. It's something we build through trust, hope, courage, and the willingness to open our hearts. Today, we are delighted to welcome an author whose stories celebrate romance, second chances, and the beautiful imperfections that make love worth pursuing. Please join me in welcoming Maria Jane, award-winning romance author whose novels are filled with heartfelt emotion, unforgettable characters, laughter, unexpected twists, and the promise that hope can always be found even after life's greatest disappointments. Known for creating stories that leave readers smiling long after the final page, Maria believes in the power of love, kindness, forgiveness, and happily ever after. Her newest novel, Perfect Secrets, invites readers into another unforgettable journey where the hidden truths, vulnerability, and trust shape the path towards lasting love. Every one of Maria's stories remind us that while life may not always be perfect, love has an extraordinary way of helping us find beauty in the unexpected. Today we'll be exploring the inspiration behind perfect secrets, writing authentic romance, building unforgettable characters, hope, forgiveness, and second chances, and why readers continue believing in happily ever afters. Maria reminds us that sometimes the greatest love stories begin with the courage to trust again. So grab your favorite cup and join us for a heartwarming conversation filled with laughter, love, inspiration, and real tea, truth, experience, and awareness. Let me get Maria in here and let's spill some tea. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you.
Let me see if this is going to work, the sound. Let's just do a test 1 2 1 2.
Hi.
I'm just going to jump over and fix my ears. Let's try that again.
Hi.
Can you hear me, Maria?
I can hear you.
I can't hear you. How come I can't hear you? Let me see. Jump out and jump back in and we'll see if that works. She's just going to pop out and pop back in, guys. We're just going to make sure that the sound is good. She said she was able to hear me. I just can't hear. So let's wait and see if she comes in. We're just going to pop in, pop out. Let me see. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
There we go. We got some green lights. We got some action going now. That's the way it works. Welcome, Maria Jane.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
See, my pesky little ears. We just got to give them a little boot once in a while, a little kick in the butt. So, Maria Jane, tell us a little bit about who you are and who you were as a little girl and who you are now. And for some of the first-time listeners that haven't seen you before, tell them a little bit about who you are.
Oh, wow. That's a big story.
Right? Let's get a big story.
I was a pretty shy little kid. I feel like I was a late bloomer, very timid, very follow the rules type of person, and probably didn't come out of my shell very much until college, and then was able to come out of my shell a little more and be a little more social. And I don't know. I feel like I didn't really come into my own probably until age 40, maybe.
Late bloomer.
Like I finally found my voice, right? Yeah, when I was 38, I guess I started fiction writing. I've been a technical writer and in science, and was staying at home with my 3 young kids, and I guess was just horribly bored because I started writing a fictionalized account of my experience with anorexia as a young adult. And that became my first series, the Being Me series, and that's pinned under my pen name, Trisha Copeland. And that just launched my whole author writing career. I got the bug and couldn't stop writing after that. I have 2 YA fantasy series under Trisha Copeland, and then this romance series under the pen name Maria Jane.
So tell me a little bit about the pen name for people that don't know what a pen name is.
Right. So most authors do use a pen name. It's just a different name other than your legal given name that you publish your books under. And my first pen name, Trisha Copeland, suited me well for YA fantasy in my first books. But then when I jumped into romance, I wanted to differentiate them a little bit. Obviously, YA fantasy is young adult. It's very clean fiction. My romance is closed door romance, so it's not erotic, but it's not something you want your 12-year-old to pick up probably. So I just wanted to differentiate that. And the name is a mishmash of my sister's name and my grandmother's name, who my grandmother wasn't alive when I started publishing, but she would have been a big fan of romance. And so I feel like she would have been a big fan. And my sister was around when I started publishing and was one of my biggest fans. So it's near and dear to my heart.
I like that. That's part of your sister and your grandma. That's a cool thing to do there.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, what inspired you to begin writing romance novels?
I was writing YA fantasy, and while they are young adults, I felt like my characters were always in peril. Like there are witches and vampires, and somebody always hunting them. And it was hard for me. I got emotionally invested in these characters and was just really weighed down at the time by what I was putting my characters through. So I thought, if I write a fun romance where the worst thing that happens is he decides he's just not that into you, then this could be good for my mental health. So yeah, I started writing the Perfect Romance series with the first book is Perfect, aptly named. And then I would write one fantasy and one romance back and forth. So I'm on book 5 of the Perfect Romance series with Perfect Secrets. And it really centers around a group of friends that met in college. And now you're seeing them as they go out into the world and get their first jobs and find their first, second, third loves. And yeah, so it's I really like it because it really features a diverse group of characters too. We have an Asian American, a Black character, a Hispanic American character. We have a neurodiverse character. We have characters with family members with mental health challenges and what that looks like to grow up with those parents. And so it's just a mishmash of humanity in there. And I really like that about it.
Well, I think we talked a little bit about these books coming out when you were on for the last book you were on, because you came on for one of the books you wrote under Trisha Copeland. And this one, I'm going to bring up the book so you can just share with the audio listeners what we're looking at. Let me just get it in here. I have it right here. That's the one I want. We're going to get it up. So just let the audio listeners let them know what we're looking at.
Right. So this is the cover of Perfect Secrets, my newest release in the Perfect Romance series. It has a girl, I guess a woman, with short black hair facing a man who is a little bit taller. He also has dark hair, and they are lifting martini glasses as if they've just clinked, saying cheers to something. There are bubbles coming up behind them, and the title is at the bottom, Perfect Secrets.
Tell me why the bubbles.
I found this image and it fit what my character looked like, the female character looked like, the male character looked like. And I like the fact that they aren't looking really happy. They're just looking kind of serious at each other, like, And then the bubbles for me kind of represent something bubbling up. So you have that perfect secrets that are going to come to light or bubble up, for lack of a better analogy. And I don't know, I just went with it.
I like the bubbles because the bubbles can kind of bring into there's something going to pop, right? There's a popping in there. So do they actually meet each other? Are they together already? Tell us a little bit about the story without giving too much eggshells away.
Right. So Elle and Tanner are the two main characters, and you do get a dual POV. So you get first person point of view from Elle as well as from Tanner. In the beginning of the book, they are actually, I'm like, where does the book begin? So the book begins in a vampire inspired nightclub. So many of the patrons are dressed like vampires, and Elle is working at the bar, and she is dressed in her vampire garb. And Tanner comes in and she recognizes him as someone she works with. And she's very nervous because she's not supposed to be working a second job. But she thinks, okay, I'm in this costume. He's never going to notice me. But she's still freaking out. But they have a little communication and he gets a little flirty, I feel like. And but he doesn't discover who she is. And then the next day the next time they go to work, you cut to a scene where they work at a law firm and they have this car share. Basically a limo picks them up at this designated place and takes them to the office every day. And you see Elle in the limo with Tanner, and they have a very sweet interaction because Tanner's father has passed away a year before that. And Elle's really never discussed that with him, even though they've been on these sports teams together. So she says, I'm really sorry about your father, while still being like, oh my goodness, is he going to recognize me from the other night at the bar? But they have more and more interactions. So she played volleyball and basketball on the sports team, and now he asked her to play softball with them. And so she's gets on the softball team and is kind of, friends with the other coworkers, but not really close friends. She keeps herself distant. And I guess we have a little bit of forced proximity too going on there. She gets hurt and he has to take care of her. So that's where I feel like the relationship really takes off. We kind of know that he's a little more into her than she's allowing herself to be into him. But after he has this, kind of forced helping of her, she decides that she may like him and she may be able to like him.
So Maria, how did you build the characters?
Well, the characters started with the first book in the Perfect Romance series. So in that book, we see them in college together and experiencing some of those college experiences, nightclubs, and those type of fun things. And we meet each one of them. And let's just do little snippets. The main character in Perfect is Chloe, who's an Asian American character. And but we see the other characters in that too. And as the books progress, it's not really a timeline because we kind of jump around timeline, but each book focuses on a different character. So Chloe is the focus of Perfect and Perfect Always, and then Bree is the focus of As Close to Perfect, and then Mira is the focus of Perfect Office Pact. But the other friends, come in and out of the story, so you're seeing their lives in the background too.
Well, we got a question here about the Perfect Office Pact that just came in from Justina. Which character was Perfect Office Pact is closest to your heart?
It's probably Declan, the male main character, because he is just such a sweetie and he struggles with autism. He's on an autistic spectrum, but he's very high functioning, but he doesn't have those I shouldn't say human. He doesn't have a lot of the social cues, or he isn't as able to use them as readily as a lot of people are. So you see him really, and you get his point of view. So you experiencing him struggling with, I want to do this, or I want to be more personable with this person, but I'm not sure how. So he's very sweet and he's very misunderstood, definitely. So yeah, he's my favorite.
We have a question here from Clyde, and it's how much of your story comes from real life experiences?
I think most of them do. Like no one character is one person that I know in my life or that I've met in my life, but I definitely take storylines and personalities and just mish them all together. Yeah.
So what character surprised you the most, Maria, when you wrote it?
Probably Tanner, because Tanner from Perfect Secrets, because I started writing the book just from Elle's point of view, and I got probably a third, maybe a fourth. A third is more. A third of the way through the book, and I thought, Tanner needs to come in here. He needs to tell us something because it just gives you that other perspective. And so I started writing his point of view into the story. And he was definitely a different character than I thought he would be when I was thinking about him just from Elle's point of view. So he's a little bit stronger of a character, I guess, than I was maybe picturing him in the beginning. And my editor was funny. When I sent her the first draft, she was like, why don't we hear from Tanner until like a third of the way through the book? I was like, oh yeah, I do need to go back and write him in the beginning. And I was like, oh, that was unintentional. He just showed up.
He just knocked on the door, right? He wanted to come in. What inspired Perfect Office Pact?
So Perfect Office Pact is Mira's journey, and she is a Hispanic American character. And I think I just wanted to write a different trope as far as like what the trope was and what the setting was for the book. And it's interesting because I feel like each of the books has gotten a little bit, I don't want to say dark, but a little bit, and I don't even want to, it's not really heavy. It's just not, something that is in the norm for me, right? So Perfect Office Pact does feature Declan. This is really a morally gray character because he does something that is very morally wrong. And she calls him out on it, and she likes to think of herself as a very good person, but then she kind of twists it around and she uses what he's done to her advantage. So she makes a deal with him that, okay, I'm not going to tell what you did, but you're going to help me get ahead in business. So those two, I mean, they both do something that the readers and me could not unquestionably judge as being, these aren't the best people in the world. I mean, there are definitely good qualities about them, but we've all done things like that. Most of us have done things, whether on a big scale or a small scale, that are, kind of questionable and on the edge, but I'm not used to writing those type of characters. So those decisions by characters have been coming into my books more, and that definitely is seen in Perfect Secrets too.
So what do you find more challenging to write, the science fiction or the romance?
It's actually the romance is harder for me to write because you have to make sure the characters, I mean, you want them to
they love each other.
They love each other, but you want them to have challenges. But definitely in Perfect Secrets, I got to a point where I was like, wow, I made this really hard. Like, would they actually get back together in real life? And I need them to, because this is a happily ever after book. So I had to ask a couple of people to read it and say, would these people even get together eventually after everything that happened? So yeah, that can be challenging. And then just, making sure that the characters are relatable and you balance the light with the heavy, and you make it fun, because in the end, that's what I want a romance to be, is fun and heartwarming and, oh, yay, happily ever after.
Well, why do happily ever afters continue to resonate with readers, do you think, Maria?
I think that's what we all want in the end, right? And especially when you have news that's going this way and that way, and you have everything else going on. And maybe that's, why I got more into romance the past 5 or 6 years, because I'm like, okay, I just want to escape. I want everything to be rosy.
She wants a rose garden.
I do.
Maria, we have a question here from Mac. Is what makes a heavily after feel believable to you?
It's probably when those characters experience those real life highs and lows, and the heartache and, whatever challenge they're going through. I mean, no, I don't know of anybody's romantic journey that has been without some kind of little blip or hiccup or challenge that they had to go through. So I think just making it real to life and true to life makes it even more sweet when it comes out good.
Have you ever written a part in the book where you're like, oh, I wish that would happen in my life?
I did write one. Like, one of my characters, Chloe in Perfect, always gets the sweetest little proposal and with a cupcake, and I love cupcakes and icing. So.
Now that's a nice proposal. That's simple and beautiful, right? We have a question here from James Show. What message do you hope readers take away from your books?
Well, definitely for the Perfect series, it was titled Perfect as kind of like, this is perfect, but it's not. Maybe your perfect is different from everyone's perfect, and your perfect doesn't always look perfect, but it may be the right thing for you, or whatever. And the first book is a alternate ending book, so you have 5 different parts, and you see Chloe at different stages of her life. She meets a different main character or male main character, and she falls in love with each one of these people. But then you see an alternate reality where she goes, her life takes a different road, and she finds another perfect happily ever after. So I really wanted to show that sometimes your life takes a different turn that you didn't think it would, but there's probably something waiting for you, whether it be a wonderful romantic relationship or a good friendship or a great job or whatever that perfectly or happily ever after looks like for you. Then there's no one vision for that. I think when I was young, I kind of had this view that my life was going to go this certain way, and that would be the right path. And when it went way askew, and then when I, came back to what felt good to me. I was like, oh, this isn't the same as what I thought it would be, but it's still good, right? It's good for me. And so that I've carried that kind of through my life.
Well, I think as little girls, right? And I know for myself, we all have this dream, right? When we get older, we're gonna have this Prince Charming that comes and gives us a perfect wedding and give us a perfect family, the white picket fence, and then we get reality, right? It smacks us in the face, and it's like, oh, okay, that's not the way it's gonna work, is it? So, so Maria, how do you balance romance, humor, and emotional depth all at once?
I think it's, you have to look at, there's a place and for everything, right? And if the just like in life, when we're having a low or deep conversation, then we might want to lift it with a little. I tend to be the person that's like, oh, look at the rainbow. So maybe that just comes naturally to me, but you definitely need to kind of pace out the story and make sure that you're giving those readers all of that.
Absolutely. Sometimes I'll look out the window and I'll talk to a bird like as if I'm like Snow White. I'm just like where's my dwarf? So are they working hard on the gold mine? Like what's going on? Like they didn't come home for dinner, And then my cat will be mama, mama, and I was like, I know, right? They're not here yet. That's kind of like my little romance, right? Just talk to the animals and be a little Snow White. We have a question here for you. Is there a favorite quote from your books you'd love to share?
Oh, I shared with Miss Liz earlier. I should have been prepared for this question, but I have a horrible memory, so I am sorry. I don't think I can remember any of them.
If you could come up with a quote like right now, Maria, what would you say? Like for love?
A quote about love?
Yeah.
Or from my book?
About your book. Love, your book, life.
Well, so my catchphrase that kind of defines, I think, all my books, because I write in so many different genres, is finding the magic. So I believe that magic is people are magical, technology is magical, nature is magical. And I think when we're thinking about love, that's a magical thing too that can't really be explained. So just looking for love and looking for magic in everywhere. And I feel like that connects people where maybe they wouldn't be connected otherwise.
Now I'm remembering your book that you were on for the first time. You're the fairy girl, right?
Yep. Yeah.
There we go. See, Miss Liz has so many guests. I'm just like, no, she's talking magical. I remember the magic that you talked about with the fairies.
Right.
Did you throw any of those fairies into this Perfect Secret book?
No. The Perfect series is a contemporary romance series, so no fantasy involved in that unless you consider love a fantasy.
No role playing or anything of fairies, right?
No. I did put vampires in this book, and I love vampires, and it was really fun with this book because in the last book I asked my readers from my email list to give me to vote on names for the characters, and this time I asked them to vote on where it would be set. So it's set in Denver, which just happens to be the city I lived in, so I was excited they picked that. It and different personality traits of the female main character of Elle. So they have a reading urban fantasy and vampire books, and so that was, and they have her do kickboxing. That was what they voted one of her hobbies was. So that was really fun for me, but I love vampires. So it was fun to do the vampire bar scenes.
I like it. Kickboxing and romance. Now you talked about it being a closed door romance. Could you get a little bit into that with closed door romance?
Right. So that's when you see some sexy scenes, the characters will kiss and they will do some more intimate things, but the act of sex itself will be fade. So you'll fade to black and you'll have basically fade to black or closed door. And they may talk about it the next morning a little bit, but you're not going to have the graphic detail of those scenes.
So how did you write those into the book?
At first I wasn't as comfortable because my other books are cleaner, but then, I put myself in an adult I am an adult, so I put myself in my adult shoes. And, and then, the characters need some sexy stuff in their life.
Well, and as adults, sometimes we need a little bit of sexy stuff in our lives too, not just the romance. I like that you're able to jump from the different genres, Maria, like, and make the characters separate from each of the books. Do you find that hard when you're writing? Like if you're writing on multiple books at one time?
I don't write multiple books at one time. I think I would be very confused. So that's why I'll do a fantasy and then a romance, a fantasy and then a romance. So I'm only doing one book and one set of characters because my characters basically live in my head. And if I'm not writing, if I'm driving, my husband says I shouldn't drive and do this, but anyway, if I'm driving or washing the dishes or grocery shopping, I'm thinking about my characters, what they're going to do next, maybe what I've just written, and if it was right for the character. And so I'm always thinking of those new scenes, what's going to happen, where this is going to go. And they just are in my mind all the time. And I think if I was doing 2 books at a time, it would be, I don't think my books would end up as good because I wouldn't have that deep dive into who that character is in my mind all the time.
I kind of like that you're taking a break, like you do one, then the next one, right? Because it would get confusing. So when you're in the grocery store, do you see any characters that come into the book, or do you watch couples to get some storylines?
I'm always watching people, I feel like, and you just watch people everywhere, and it's so fun to see like little cute couples, especially in the grocery store. I feel like you see more cute couples in the grocery store, but I watch a lot of reality shows too. I feel like those may be a little bit more over the top, but it's fun to see those and think of different storylines.
Well, we have another question here from Justina. How do you balance humor and heartfelt moments in your writing?
I think, it's just like what fits the scene. So when my characters are they're playing softball, they're probably going to be more light and joking with each other than when, it turns to a more serious moment. But that's one interesting thing about Perfect Secrets is Elle has some baggage, not surprisingly, Perfect Secrets. And she's not always comfortable when people like dig into her private life. So it's interesting that sometimes those humor and those light moments for her are quickly followed by something that she's not comfortable with and she wants to get away from.
Well, we have another question from Clive again has a reader ever shared a story that completely changed the way you think about your own writing?
I don't know that it's completely changed. I mean, I love getting feedback from my readers, and, I'm working on my next book, and I have a lot of beta readers as well as advanced copy readers. And I mean, everything is everybody's opinion, right? But it's wonderful when you have a reader come back and say, oh, I really love the format of this book. I think that was the dual POV was new for me in Perfect Office Pact, and I carried it through to Perfect Secrets. And I was trying to decide whether I was going to carry it through to my next book. And I had several readers say, oh, I really like that you're seeing both sides of the male and the female character. I'm like, okay, I'll keep going there.
Well, we have a question from Adam, and it is, which character from your book do you relate to the most and why?
Probably Chloe. She is the Asian American character from Perfect and Perfect Secrets, and she's definitely a studious, a goal getter, more like reserved and thoughtful, and a planner, maybe efficient, which is my E word, one of my E words, and that kind of describes me. As I'm getting older, a little bit of that has softened, but that drive is definitely still there.
Well, Maria, let's get into the words that I cannot say. I can say transformation and efficiency. Efficiency, right? No.
Yep.
Yeah, I got that one. It's the middle word. I cannot say it, so I will get you to say it.
Effervescent, which means basically kind of like glowing.
Oh, well, I would have never even got close to that. Glowing. I just learned something new. Look at you guys. Are always teaching me something. So where did you learn that word?
I don't remember where I learned it first, but it has an E and it kind of means glowing. So it signifies magic to me. So that's why I picked it.
And transformation. Where's the transformation?
Well, I mean, my books are very heavily character based and character driven. So we want to see that transformation in every character. And there's usually some part of the character's personality or past or something that they're still dealing with. So I want to see them grow, and then like if they need to overcome something, or if they just need to work through something, or they're working on whatever goal that is they're working on. It's fun to see them come to the other side of that.
And what role does hope play in every story you tell?
Oh, it's like front and center.
It's right there.
Yeah, I mean, different books have different major themes, but hope seems to run through every book I write. But faith, hope, um, courage, all of those. But I mean, hope is in every one of them, because as you see this transformation, the characters you see, and because they are real to life characters, I think it sometimes it is even more, a little bit more poignant in that could
Absolutely.
be your life.
Well, I just want to thank all my listeners that are joining in and jumping in the studio. I always try my best to get you guys some entertainment here and some really good authors and just people that have good stories to share. Maria Janes was on Teatime last year, I believe. So if you want to see her first Teatime, she was under her other name, Trisha Coupland. So you can check out her fairy books that she's mentioning from time to time here. But tonight we're talking about The Perfect Secret. So how did you get the title Perfect Secret for this book?
Let's see. I had to have perfect in the title, because everyone
It's the perfect. It's the perfect series.
Right. And Elle's mother is schizophrenic, and she doesn't like to share that information. And her mother was always very paranoid. She moved them around every 6 months. And then we kind of find out that Tanner has some secrets too. So it just kind of fit. It fit perfectly.
Well, we have a question here from Joey, and it is, what advice would you give someone who dreams of becoming a published romance author one day?
I mean, you can be an indie author and publish yourself. So it really depends on what your goals are and what you want to do with your writing. I think that's the best thing to decide in the beginning. I did try to get an agent and become traditionally published, but I just wasn't patient enough. It wasn't Harlequin was interested, but they said, make it one book, not a series. I was like, no, this is a series. So yeah, decide on your goals and just go for it. I'm kind of a self-taught author, and I think, it's so amazing that we have so many tools at our disposal now.
Absolutely. Well, Maria, I want to talk to you about what was the longest character that you've had in all of the Perfect books?
Probably Chloe, because she is featured in the first 2 books. But everybody is staying in the series. I mean, even in book 5, you're seeing, and book 5 is actually earlier in the timeline than the Perfect and the other 3 books, I should say. So you're seeing all those characters in, within a 5 or 6 year span of each other so far. But Chloe is definitely the longest one, because you see all of them in college, but you see more of her story through her junior and senior year of college. And then from there, and then I think I talked about Perfect being that alternate ending. And then Perfect always is her complete love story. So you get 2 books sort of mainly focused on Chloe.
So how many books are going to be in the series of Perfect?
I'm not sure yet, because the good thing is that they're always meeting new people. So this series started with a short romance that I wrote. It's called Perfectly Tuned. And if you go to my website and sign up for my email list, you can get that one free. That's just a short story about Mina and Connor, and they are in college and they meet each other. They're very opposites attract type story. But I thought I would end the Perfect series with getting back to their full-length story, like what happens after the short story, right? And I weave them into Perfect Office Pact and thought, oh, well, the next book can be the last one. It can be Mina and Tanner's story. And then I thought, oh, I haven't written all these people yet. So I'm just going to keep going. So I don't want to.
So is there any characters that we should be looking out for in the next book?
Yes. So the next book that I'm starting, tentatively titled My Not So Perfect Cop. Danny is going to be featured in that story, and Gareth is her love interest. And I just started writing his POV, so that's been fun to flesh him out a little bit more. It's a little bit of more of a grumpy sunshine book, maybe, than I haven't written that trope before. So that's a little bit fun to explore.
Are you taking them to different countries or different places in these books? Or?
So most of the books are set in Lexington, Kentucky. As I said, Perfect Secrets is set in Denver. The next book with Danny is going to be back in Lexington. But it was interesting. I was talking with my editor, and she said, well, I like this character. And from the first book, who Chloe meets in Paris and is a model. So I thought, oh, we may jump to New York City after that. That would be fun.
So there's lots of little Easter eggs coming for new books. So people can check that out. In all your series, is there an ending to any of your series, or you're just going to keep writing until?
Right. So they all can be read as standalones because it does finish that story for those two characters. But like I said, you do kind of see the other characters in the book. So that's what ties them all together. So I don't think it necessarily is going to have a big ending like maybe an epic fantasy would.
So for anybody that wants to write romance, what tips and tools would you give them?
I think just study, kind of a plot structure. I don't know. I had no idea of how to write fiction books when I started writing fiction. And I definitely hadn't taken an English course since high school. So I had to study plot structure, character development, how to do all those things and make a story that people wanted to read. So I guess it depends on your level of where you start. But probably the best thing is to read romance and watch romance movies.
And what's the best way to set up a plot?
For me, I decide on like beginning and an ending, and then I decide on like the major, most dramatic plot point that's sort of the pinnacle. And then from there, I start writing the ups and downs that gets me there. But I think everybody has a little bit different process.
And in Perfect Secrets, what's the big romance secret that you can give us without giving us too much?
Well, it's the family secret, I guess. So I've already told you that Elle's mother is schizophrenic, and she's very secretive, and she's very guarded and paranoid about people knowing her information. And so there is a lot of, I can tell you this. So when Elle tells Tanner that, she's sorry his father died, the next big revelation that you learn is that Elle actually met her father. Her father came to Elle in his line of work as an attorney and gave Elle a large sum of money, who she doesn't know where that money is from. She doesn't know where it came from. He was just the lawyer handing her this money. And that's how she ended up in Denver working for the firm that his father and now Tanner works for. So that's one of the secrets. Maybe you find out where the money comes from.
Oh, so you got to read the book. You got to get a copy. I'm just going to pull up the book again. Can you tell us about who designed the cover and all of that good stuff?
Right. So my cover artist is Daryl McCool with Damn Cool Graphics, because she's Daryl A. McCool. So she has Damn Cool Graphics. And here in Superior, Colorado. So she's a local neighbor and friend. And I love to go look on the stock photo sites and find images. And then we put together the bubbles with the character images, and then we match the titles for the others in the series. So it's always, I love doing, I can't draw and I'm not a graphic designer, but I've learned some things that I like doing graphics. So I usually do the mashups and then she makes them perfect.
I really like the cover. I think it's cute. It's adorable. And then the martinis, how does that come into the picture? Is that in the book?
I think I added martini, and usually this happens to me. Like, I find an image I like for the cover, and then I have to add something into the book that shows them in that situation. So I must have added it in there, but I don't remember where.
Did we talk about martinis the last time you were on Teatime?
I don't know. I love martinis, so it's very likely we did. Although if I was doing a young adult feature on fairies, I may have not I know I didn't have martinis in that, but I have martinis in my daily life.
I thought we talked about chocolate martinis.
I don't know. I'm a lemon martini person. So
okay, it was the lemon one. So it was somebody else that talked about chocolate martini. There's so many people out there that I'm just like, I'm trying to put everybody together. How has it becoming an award-winning author changed your journey?
I think I just get to reach out to more people. And that's like the fun of it for me when, a reader emails me and says, this really resonated with me. I really, could see myself in this character's journey, or this really helped give me some comfort, or any of those things. Just being more connected to readers is what I love most probably about writing.
So Marie, do you have any book signings coming up or any events or anything like that?
I do. I have 2 book signings local to Colorado. So Friday the 24th, I'm going to be at Barnes & Noble in Colorado Springs from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. So that's a lot of fun. And then I'll be back in August signing my fantasy series under my pen name, Trisha Copeland. I think that's like August, I want to say 15th, maybe. It's the middle of August, so I have those 2 coming up. I'll be at Bristlecone Bookshop in Nederland, Colorado in August. That's August 15th. I know that's National Romance Bookstore Day or something like that.
Oh.
So Bristlecone Bookshop in Nederland, Colorado in mid-August, and then the 2 Barnes & Nobles signings in Colorado Springs.
See, I'm learning so much. National Romance Book. There's always a day for everything, right? I want to talk to you about, what do I have here? Oh, the word passionate. You gave me the word passionate for yourself. Why'd you give me that word passionate?
Because, my husband, it's funny because I'll describe one of my friends to him and he says, that describes you, right? So anything I do with like 150%. So if I'm writing books, I am writing them, preferably 24/7. So I think that is one thing that just sort of overall in my personality, if I'm doing something, I'm doing it passionately.
So Maria, do you have any intents to write another type of series that we should know about?
Yeah, so I need to jump back into fantasy at some point for all my fantasy readers. And I have a book that I've written a short story for, and I want to make that full-length novel. It was interesting because a friend of my kids just gave me a painting, and it shows like an underwater scene that it's going to be the setting for this fantasy book. And I'm like, oh, that's telling me something, that's nudging me towards writing this next fantasy book.
Maria, talk to me a little bit about forgiveness and second chances in Perfect Secrets.
Right. So in Perfect Secrets, as I've said, lots of secrets come out, and we're not sure because these characters are telling you things from their point of view. They don't have to tell you everything, right? And we learn more and more as the story goes on, and it comes to a point where we're not sure who is telling the truth and who has shared or not shared, and then there's a major break, and both the characters kind of, from the other character's point of view, might have done something that can't be forgiven. So there is I think, it's hard when you're only seeing one side of a story, and you see that, yes, I could look at it from this other side, but the side I'm seeing, it may be the most likely side. And I want to trust this person, but how, I've known this person for a year. Can I really trust this person that much? And all these little facts add up to the point that, you know, I'm coming to the conclusion that this person has done something really wrong. So, yeah, I mean, sorting all that out and then being able to trust that person again may take a long time, right?
So, Maria, tell me how it felt like to become an award-winning author for the first time. Was it with the fantasy books or was it with the romance books?
I've won awards for both, and I think my first big award with the Colorado Independent Publishing Association was with my YA fantasy Kingdom of Embers. That's the first time I got to go in person to an award show, and I went with my editor, and I stood up and got the, you know, the certificate. So that's probably my first poignant moment. And then with Perfect Office Pact last year, I won the Colorado Authors League Award. So I got to go to that one in person too. I think it's those in-person ones that probably mean the most rather than the ones that just send them to you digitally.
Yeah, because you actually get to experience it, right? It's an experience as well. And you get to meet other writers as well.
Yes.
So, Maria, have you gone to any writing conventions or anything that has really stood out to you?
I do. I haven't. So, Roanoke Author Invasion was the one I was just at in April. I love that one. I try to go to that one every year. I'm trying to build back up my ones to love. So before COVID, there were several that were, you know, that were regulars of mine, and it seems like after 2020, a lot of those didn't come back. So as I get more time in my life and can spend more time with weekends at book cons, I hope to do that.
I hope that comes back, you know, because that's something that needs to come back. Are you in any book clubs or anything, Maria?
No. Somebody invited me to a book club, and I thought I'd really love to be in a book club, but I don't have time to be in a book club. I listen to my friends talk about their book clubs.
Well, we have some lightning bolt questions here for you now. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
What flavor of tea?
You know, okay, I said tea because you only asked me one of those two, but I don't drink tea at all. I can't drink coffee or tea. I mean, I can drink sweet cold tea, but I don't really
tea
prefer
is good
it.
Too. It's still
I don't
tea.
really prefer it. Okay, I don't really prefer it. I'd rather have a Diet Coke if you're going to give me caffeine.
Oh, Diet Coke. So you're a Diet Coke girl. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Morning writing or late night writing?
Not late night. It could be evening, but morning is probably my best time for being efficient. I got the E word in.
Yeah, let's get to that word before we wrap up. Why that word in your story?
You know, it's funny. We were coming on the show and I said, "Oh, that's boring. Why did I say that?"
She did say that before we went live.
But it is true. It is true. I tend to be very efficient, although sometimes I can be a little bit squirrel. Like if I maybe like things that are close to me, I'm going to do them all at the same time, even if they're not related to each other. But that is efficient in its own way because you're not going further away from where you are.
Oh, you're not running up the tree yet. Beach or mountains?
That's a hard one too. I love both of them, but if you had, I would say beach because it tends to be warmer. That's why I'll say that.
Rom-com or classic romance?
Rom-com, definitely.
For those that don't know what rom-com is, what is it?
I think it's just like classic romance. I think of more of like Jane Austen and maybe period pieces. I think rom-com usually has some light and silly elements about it. Maybe something that's a little bit slapstick at times.
And one word that describes your writing style?
Authentic, I'm going to say. The characters, I mean, it's all first person point of view. So you hear their thoughts in their head. So you get that automatic, oh, this is what this person is like without a filter.
And what's the inspiration behind Perfect Secrets?
So in Perfect Secrets, I think probably the main theme is acceptance and forgiveness. Because a lot of time, I mean, even with her mom and her relationship with her mom, And even with Tanner, he has a relationship with his mother that he ultimately has to grapple with and decide where that fits in his life. So just accepting people for where they are, and being willing maybe to forgive some of the things from the past and move forward.
And in Perfect Secrets, who gets a second chance?
Who gets a second chance? I feel like everybody does. Definitely Elle gets a second chance. And maybe Elle gives Tanner a second chance too. So, it's back and forth.
So out of the 3 books, you have 3 so far from the Perfect series, correct? Written?
5, actually. Right?
You have 5. So I'm only on book 3. Where's 4 and 5?
So it's perfect always, as close to perfect, Perfect Office Pact, and Perfect Secrets. So 5.
Look at that. We got 5 books and Mrs. has only got number 3. Why do I have number 3 when you have 5? I should have all 5 of them. And for your other series, if you'd like to just put a shout out for those as well.
Right. So those are the Kingdom Journals, which is a Trinity of Witches series, has a couple of vampires in there. And then the Realm Chronicles series is the Fae Fantasy series. And the Kingdom Journals and Realm Chronicles are actually a crossover series. So you get characters from both flying in and out. I'll say flying because that relates to fairies. My fairies can fly.
And Trisha, if you could give yourself a title for your life story, what title would you give?
It might be transformation too. I feel like my experiences with anorexia and overcome anorexia were definitely a turning point in my life. And although you don't want to experience anything like that, it taught me a lot of good life living lessons and how to be mentally healthy, how to have healthy relationships with myself and with others. So, and I feel like every stage of my life has been a little bit of a transformation, to becoming a mom, to become, going back into the workforce, becoming an author, letting all these characters transform my brain.
So in Perfect Secrets, do you bring up a lot of mental illness in the books?
Just as far as it relates to the schizophrenia and her mother and how that has affected Elle. Elle is kind of had to parent herself for a long time. So, but she is a very stable person as far as that is concerned. And I am very in admiration of that stability that somehow she just got maybe from the beginning.
Well, I think it's important, because we can bring mental illness awareness through books, through stories and romance and all that as well, right? We don't always just have to say mental illness and conversation back and forth. We can put it into books. We can put it into art. We can put it into music. Do you have any of the characters that represent your life in the book?
Not in this book, no. Like I said, my first series, the Being Me series, is a fictionalized account of my experience with anorexia. So that is definitely the closest to my story that I probably could have written. But I feel like, I do have family members that have battled mental health too. So I think of being an adult of parents and, grandparents and other people in my life that have struggled with mental health. I mean, it's interesting. I think this is the first book I wrote with a character with, a family member with a mental health challenge and how that might affect a child or, one of as a family, family member. So that was neat to look at it from that perspective.
And Maria, if you could give the final message for tonight and just spell out your website so people can find your books and all that good stuff.
Of course. So my Maria Jane is Maria. Maria, sorry, that did not sound good or right. MariaJaneRomance.com is how you find the Maria Jane books. And if you want to go to Trisha Copeland, it's TrishaCopeland.com. And all the romance and fantasy it's kind of all in there.
And your final message for everybody tonight.
Oh, thank you for being here. And thank you for all the questions. And definitely, if you have any more, just shoot me an email.
Well, thank you guys for joining. And thank you again, Maria. for joining us tonight. And we're just going to do a fast recap of what tonight's tea time was all about. And we'll be back next week. We have 6 tea times next week. So Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, check out Miss Liz at 3 and 7 p.m. We have 6 incredible tea times coming your way. What a beautiful conversation we shared together tonight. Maria, thank you for bringing your warmth, creativity, and joyful spirit to the tea time table. Tonight's conversation reminded us that love isn't about finding perfection. It is about embracing authenticity, forgiveness, vulnerability, and choosing each other even when life becomes complicated. We explored romance, storytelling, hope, second chances, and the beautiful reminder that every relationship is built one moment, one conversation, and one act of kindness at a time. One of tonight's greatest takeaway is this: the strongest relationships are built not on perfect people, but on imperfect people who continue to choose love. Through Perfect Secrets, you've reminded us that honesty, trust, and compassion have the power to transform lives, and that every ending can become the beginning of something extraordinary. As we close today's tea time, I'd like to leave everyone with this thought. What would change in your life if you choose love over fear, forgiveness over resentment, and hope over doubt? Because the greatest love story you've ever write is the one you choose to live every day. Maria, thank you for sharing your heart, your creativity, and your gift, for reminding us that happily ever afters begin with believing they're possible. Until next time, continue spreading love, continue writing stories that touch hearts, and continue serving real life tea, truth, experience, and awareness, one conversation at a time. And tonight's takeaway is love isn't found in perfect moments. It's found in honest conversations, quiet acts of kindness, unwavering hope, and the courage to believe that every new chapter can become your most beautiful one yet. And I'll see everybody next week, and we'll do this all over again.
Thank you, Liz.